Good evening. I'd like to call tonight's meeting of the Board of Directors to order. Will you please rise for the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tacoma Public Schools acknowledges that traditional, ancestral, and historical land of the Puyallup Tribe of Indians. We honor with gratitude the land itself and the Puyallup Tribe. This acknowledgement serves as a first step in honoring our nearest tribal neighbors and partners who have inhabited this region since time immemorial, and to whom we give thanks for allowing us passage to their lands. We shall intentionally create inclusive and respectful partnerships that honor indigenous cultures, histories, identities, and socio-political realities. General Counsel Benroe, would you please call the roll?
Yes, President Strozier.
Here.
Vice President McElroy.
here.
Director Keating.
Here.
We have a quorum.
For the record, Director Leon is en route, and Director Bonbright is excused this evening. Next up, recognition of staff, students, and community. Recognition of the Shining Star Community Partner Award to the Rainiers.
Tonight we have a guest presenter, Mr. Christopher Williams, is going to step in and present our Community Partner Award tonight.
Thank you. When it comes to student success, TPS recognizes that schools cannot do it alone. In recognition of an investment of time, talent, and resources for TPS students, families, and staff, the Shining Star Community Partner Award signifies honor and thanks for a community partner who has made a difference by doing what is best for kids. Tonight, we would like to honor and recognize a tremendous effort from Tacoma Rainiers with their strong commitment to our students and community at large. Just to give background on some of the highlights this year. The Tacoma Rainiers' commitment to Tacoma students has remained steadfast over more than 10 years, and their partnership with TPS has grown throughout the years. The annual TPS Student Jersey Design Competition, in which Tacoma Rainiers leads a design competition and the winner's design is worn by the Tacoma Rainiers players on game day, has become the highlight throughout Tacoma schools, and participation has increased dramatically. The annual TPS night at the Rainiers has grown exponentially. This year is hosting more than 1,600 Tacoma students and families and featuring school performing groups. This year, the Tacoma Rainier staff, specifically Haley Hacker, is she in attendance tonight? Worked with our team in communications in addition to 8 other schools, PTAs, and community partners to turn an ordinary Thursday night Rainiers game into a joyful celebration for all Tacoma students. Each of the partners attend the game, but also have the opportunity to fundraise for their own PTA or program, including supporting our very own Beyond the Bell program. Haley made the process smooth and easy for everyone. Let's not forget the 200 students running around the infield that went off without a hitch before the game. The Tacoma Rainiers' enthusiasm for Tacoma students and shining a light on programs that support students and families does not go unnoticed, and they are more deserving of a Shining Star Award. With that said, let's give them a round of applause. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anyone in attendance tonight, so I will hold on and guard this award.
Yes,
I will make sure I don't take it home.
Yes, we will send Miss Amanda Scott Thomas out to Cheney Stadium, and we will do a little video and get it out online. So thank you very much, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Next up, we have the superintendent's report.
We have a couple of updates tonight I'd like to have the staff give you, and then I'll give you a few comments. So I think tonight we're going to start off with our financial update. It looks like it's coming up on the screen. We'll start there, maybe? Nope.
Well, the agenda's on.
The agenda's on the HR, but I'm going to go with the financial because it's on the screen, and
I
Miss
see that.
Medina's not ready, and so I figure we'll just. Yes, she's ready.
Mr. Diedrich just mentioned that he was going to be going first, and he was very proud of himself for that. So my surprise. Well, good evening, and thank you for having me. let me get to my first slide. So this year, it's just a couple of updates on what's going on in the budget and the finance world. We are feverishly working to balance our budget and making some great progress. Lots of activity, flurry of activity around the department and trying to get everything solidified and finished for the year. This year, we had a budget advisory committee. This is a biannual committee that we put together with community members of all kinds and asking them to participate in our budgeting process. We had 28 volunteers, and they participated in 5 in-person meetings, with 2 of those being education series and then 3 being like community focus groups and conversations. Our full budget advisory committee report is listed out on our budget website, and there's a QR code at the back of my presentation that I'll share for anybody who's interested in following along with that. But some of the key areas that they suggested for us to preserve, just to summarize, would be trying to maintain direct classroom support, which I think aligns with the budget guidelines and priorities that you have set forth as a board. Whole child supports and student well-being and their comprehensive care, family engagement, and extended learning opportunities. Again, whole report is listed out on our budget website and is available for anybody who would like to follow along with what the committee had to go, what kind of commentary they had for us. I do have a spot of good news, which was we appear to have a positive trend going. Our projections for May in the finances are showing that where we had previously been seeing a negative fund balance of $3.5 million, we have moved that to $1.5 million. We're in $1.6 million. And so just to note again that we continue to struggle with trying to maintain our financial resources. This has been an ongoing conversation that we've had throughout this year. Just a quick highlight that this is where we're at this moment in time. And if we look at the trend of where we've been this year, our projections, remembering that our projections are an estimate of where we anticipate we will end the year. We're seeing that we're recovering a little bit, and that we anticipate that will continue through June and July, with August being an even better recovery. So we're anticipating that we will be above 0 at this point, but we can't guarantee anything. It seems that every day there's another unknown issue that comes to our doorstep that we have to address around our finances. So just a few notes on some of our financial considerations, things that are contributing to school districts are the same things that are contributing to financial issues in many people's personal lives. Food and fuel costs more, rent costs more, land costs more, school buildings cost more, utilities cost more, salaries that we're paying for our competitive market-driven salaries cost more. Those issues are not new, and we have been following them. But in addition to that, we are struggling with the state funding that we're receiving. We're just not receiving enough for the expectations of what the state provides for us and what we anticipate the needs of our community are. We're following our typical budget development practice. This year is the first year of our 2-year legislative cycle. We align ourselves to the state legislative budget. And as you're aware, the things that we work to really try to address in this year are our budgeting by priorities process. That's where we ask everybody to engage in the budget. Program managers prepare proposals and get those for approval. And we do staffing model adjustments at the school level. That actually happens in both years, and administrative supports out in the schools as well. Our board has adopted budget criteria and guidelines for us so that we have something to follow as to what our expectations are. And we've talked before about our legislative impacts. So the legislative impacts are something that we're currently reconciling right now. These were our initial estimates and understandings. However, after we had a presentation from the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, we identified a few more areas where we were going to have some financial concerns. One of those to speak to specifically is our transportation safety net. We had heard that it had been written in as a proviso in the budget previously, and that those provisos were not continued, which meant we lost our $750,000 allocation for transportation safety net. That's not affecting our special education safety net, but it was a $750,000 impact that we did not know was coming to us.
So that's typically for our McKinney-Vento students. So we are required to transport McKinney-Vento students, at least for the school year, even outside of the district, from their home district into TPS and split the cost with their home district. And the state has removed the funding of that requirement for all school districts in the state of Washington. So that is now an unfunded mandate by the state. And for us, as a district that has a pretty significant McKinney-Vento, or students that are qualified for McKinney-Vento, that can be anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million on a given year. And that was not communicated through the legislative session at all.
Other legislative impacts, we had talked previously about the levy. We will see an increase in our levy revenue of about $1.5 million for the 25-26 budget. And then for the 26-27 budget, we will go out and ask our voters for additional resources in the future. So that is something that will be coming. But the increases that the legislature had proposed or have approved, excuse me, will not be something that we will be able to capture in the 2025-26 year.
And those increases will only be available if our voters approve those increases. Those are not state-funded increases. Those are local taxpayers choosing if they want to support those increases or not.
Correct. The financial overview that we have conversed about previously at the state level, our highest benchmark point in funding was when the McCleary lawsuit was implemented, and we received 52% of the state's budget. When the state started to invest less in education, it resulted in a loss of revenues for districts. OSPI did an interesting presentation recently where they said that had the state continued with a 52% of their budget directed towards education, we would have $6.5 billion more invested in education this year than we do currently. Oklahoma's proportionate share would be about $175 million more in this year. So when we think about the impacts of what it means to allow this to slip, it continues to put us in a position where we cannot fund all of the things that are expected of us. As I'm finding as we're working through our budget, Director Kristen Bell and I have been having some very spirited conversations around the fact that no matter what move we make, there's an alternative impact to it. Every string is tied to another string. So, if we want to make an adjustment to this thing, we have to worry about maintenance of effort or indirect rate or MSOC rate or, all these different components that make it very difficult to try to align our resources to the needs that we have and make any kind of modifications. And that's outside of collective bargaining agreements that also have significant impacts to the way that we operate.
Do you believe that $175 million is over the 3 years?
No, that's per year.
Per year. I apologize because I think I misled the community last time and said it was over the 3 years.
Yes, I did make a modification to that this time.
Nope, it's there. So I would like to, that's my mistake from the last presentation. I think I clarified it was a gap. So that $175 million would definitely make a difference for us this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not there.
And with those, just a reminder that we have been facing this issue for a number of years. We've made cuts over the last several years, and we've made cuts again this year in order to accommodate the shifting revenue that we have. We're in a closed system in that we can't go out and generate revenue. We don't have the legal authority to do that or any of the opportunities to do that besides generous donations from whoever would like to provide those donations. And there's a button on our website that you can go donate. So those are the things that we are navigating through as we're working to develop our budget. Just as a preview, we will be doing a budget hearing on the 10th of July, which is our next board meeting. And that will be open to the public. Anyone who would like to be heard about our budget, on our budget, is welcome to come and provide us with feedback. A budget is just a plan. It is not a final of what we're doing. It's not a written in stone as to how we operate. And so we will also then be adopting on the same day is our intent. But that doesn't mean that the conversations and connections that we have around the budget have to be the end of the conversation just because we adopt a budget. And we believe that with the extensive communication that we've done this year, that adopting on the July 10th date doesn't have any real impact or change to the fact that we're going to have to make significant cuts in what we're doing for the future. Just some notable reductions. We have been working to align our enrollment with our staffing, or our staffing with our enrollment, excuse me. And so we've made a number of reductions. We've talked about those reductions in past meetings, and some of those do have school-based impacts. We tried our hardest to keep cuts away from the classrooms, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other base supports that are impacted. Also made reductions in instructional coaches, secondary librarians. We've done a number of reorganizations of programs, so the way that we support them, the way that we have staff support them is changing. And then we've been working to shift a number of our staff around in funding sources to maximize the use of those funding sources. In addition to that, we've been doing all the discretionary reductions that we can. We're running pretty low on the ability to continue to lean up on our discretionary, though. And I will say that we also have materials, supplies, and operating costs, which is our discretionary MSOC, expectations from the state, and we have to certify that we've spent at least a certain amount on MSOC. So there's a compliance expectation. So just some key information about our adoption. We continue to work on our final evaluation of whether further reductions will be necessary to finalize the budget. We have to keep our expenditures within the revenues that we have, because we only have a certain amount of revenues that we will be able to achieve. And we also have to work to gain our fund balance back, which means that we have to reduce our expenditures even further in order to be able to maintain a fund balance or to grow a fund balance. So we'll be doing our budget hearing on July 10th at the beginning of the meeting or towards the beginning of the meeting, and then the adoption will come towards the end of the meeting. I'll just stop there. The last thing is, if anybody wants to have further information, wants to investigate what we have going on, we have a very robust website with lots of details and information, both on our budget advisory committee, as well as the budgeting process and all of the presentations and information that we've shared so far this year. This can be achieved by the QR code.
This is also serving as our agenda, our financial update of agenda item number 8 as well tonight.
I do have a question in regards to McKinney-Vento. I'm still wrapping my head around this new information. I know that, and I believe this is correct, that in the school year 2022 through 2023 and 2023 through 2024, Tacoma Public Schools had the largest number of McKinney-Vento students in the entire state.
Correct. We served more McKinney. We had more students qualify for McKinney-Vento services than any other district. Correct.
Is that still true? And I realize I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but do you know if that is still true this school year?
I do not have that data in front.
Okay.
Thank you.
And for those that are watching and don't know what McKinney-Vento means, McKinney-Vento is this, what the state uses as a categorical label to define students that qualify for traditionally as homeless status. They could be matched up in another home with someone, but they are in temporary housing of some sort in there. And so that's the state's definition of that. It's different than the federal's definition, but it's Washington State's definition of that. And so if those that are watching at home and don't know what that term means, that is what we were referring to when a student is referred to as qualifying for McKinney-Vento services. They are qualifying for services that are there to support them with housing assistance while they're going to school.
And just for context, I meant to add this, like, I do recall in those school years that I had mentioned that our numbers were at around 2,400 students
Correct.
that qualified and were being served under McKinney-Vento. 2,400.
Yes.
Another-
Next.
Wait, not
Go
a
ahead,
question,
please.
but
Yes.
kind of, well, touching on that, part of the services that we do that is now unfunded is what I'm making sure I'm gathering. the transportation costs as well, correct?
That is what is stripped out of the budget, is the transportation. So after COVID, they provided and threw a proviso in the budget, safety net, meaning that school districts could apply and retro afterwards, basically bill for transportation services. And the host district, meaning where the student was going to school and their home district would split the costs. But recognizing that there was an additional cost, we would get students in Seattle where they were living, but they had a right to attend their school to where they were, where they were their home school, if you will, and vice versa. There may be students living in Tacoma, but they had came from a Seattle school, just as an example. So transportation was above and beyond, and so those dollars are no longer available. And as Director Keating was mentioning, those costs, because of how large our population was, quite significant for us, up to approximately $1 million in some years. And those dollars are no longer available. But we are still required to transport the students from their home to their school district. Next, we want to give you a staffing update. Mr. Stephen Diedrich's back to give us a quick update of what we've done in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Garcia. Our focus tonight will be on the people impact of staffing. Ms. Medina spoke to the position and FTE and the funding, and I'll speak specifically to people impacts. I'd like to begin with an overview of our certificated staffing. We have a total of 107 displacements. The good news is all 107 have now been placed into a teaching assignment for the 25-26 school year. In addition to the 107 displaced certificated staff, we have 14 certificated staff members that were impacted by a shift from one building to another, resulting in their transfer to a new school. Notifications of these changes as well, both verbal and written, are now complete as well. As of yesterday, we began recalling members of our 105 non-renewed provisional staff who hold the appropriate teaching certificates for one of our 22 teaching vacancies in either special education, math, science, or secondary band or orchestra. As we determine who to invite back in preparation for the 25-26 school year, we are basing our decisions to reinstate non-renewed provisional staff on 3 factors: the student/classroom needs, hence the 22 vacancies, and those result mainly from resignations and retirements and releases from contracts. Second, we look at the current teaching certificates of each of the non-renewed provisional staff. And then we look at finally, we look at each person's Washington State teaching seniority, which is what we've agreed to with our partners in TEA and in alignment with our collective bargaining agreement. We'll reevaluate the need to broaden this recall once we finalize the 25-26 budget, subsequently examining all open positions to potentially create additional opportunities for calling back further members from the non-renewed provisional pool. I'd like to move on to our education support professionals. To date, we have 159 displaced ESPs. 75 have been placed into either one of our 57 new MTSS ESP positions, or one of our 10 new playgroup ESP roles, or one of our 8 new ECAP, Family Resource or Instructional Assistant ESP positions. That as well is complete. For our OPPT group, we have displaced a total of 34 OPPT staff members to date. 24 of these OPPT staff members that were displaced have a new assignment for the 25-26 school year. We'll continue to partner with those that are displaced from the OPPT ESP groups and assist them with seeking further employment assignments for the coming year as well. That work doesn't stop. To summarize, I'd like to direct your attention to the blue box on the right side of the slide. And I want to highlight that we have a total of 431 TPS staff members who had been impacted by a position elimination resulting in their displacement. Of this group, this group of 431, 222 are no longer displaced and are now have a position for the 25-26 school year. However, 209 remain without a position, so the work is still there that needs to be done to support them. Again, our commitment to the remaining staff members without an assignment for the 25-26 school year is to continue prioritizing their hiring or placement where appropriate over hiring of external candidates from outside the district. I'll pause there and take any questions you might have.
Stephen, for the public, would you just explain what MTSS stands for, please?
I'm going to take a shot at it, Dr. Garcia. Multi-tiers student supports, system supports. All right, it's that first S that gets me each time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. Keep me on my toes.
So every day there's there potentially could be a new opening, and so these numbers don't always reflect sometimes the openings in that space. And so we try to really focus in on who's actually been placed oftentimes. And so the 22, maybe there's openings, but tomorrow that may change in that space. And so we're trying to lock in as of space in there. Sometimes folks, even the numbers don't reflect. Sometimes folks may have left the district as well because they've gotten jobs in other places. We don't reflect those numbers in this as well. So just wanted to make sure that folks understand that is in there. So we're going to just keep on working all the way through the summer. We don't close down in that space. And then I think that next key milestone is as Stephen mentioned, is the July 10th. We'll finalize the budget and then look at the next round of openings as they come through.
I think just human cost, right? I mean, for me, I was a para, formerly what is now an ESP, and I think sometimes that title, it just doesn't encompass like all the work and the different roles that is served in one acronym. So it's kind of hard to know exactly where that impact will be felt most if we're all under this acronym, but inside of that acronym, there's like 85 different types of ESPs and paras. So, and I mean, like I was a specific type of para.
Yep.
I was an ECAP lead teacher, which is a para in this district. They're not teachers, they're paras or ESPs. So it's just kind of an interesting breakdown for me to sit with. But I think that it's really important that as we discuss these type of impacts, I think it's good that we're focusing on getting our own people back in.
Correct.
In place. And so that kind of the ball's in our court at a certain point. We have to pass that budget on July 10th, and then you can continue doing the work that you're doing to get folks back in.
We anticipate posting vacancy ESPs third week of July, and that's where we'll begin to focus on the one-on-one ESPs, the program ESPs, et cetera. And there will be quite a few for our remaining displaced staff to consider.
Thank you.
Yes.
We do that in agreement with our collective bargaining agreements. So in some situations, we, and based on whatever collective bargaining agreement and without getting in the details, some we have agreed to place and some we agree that we post and then allow people to apply. And so each one of the agreements is different in the criteria, whether it's an OP, PT, ESP, or certificate. And so that's why it's very critical that we follow through in those processes, because we've agreed with our labor partners on how to do that. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
And then just a few quick shout outs. I just want to say thank you to all of our staff for an amazing year, 24-25. It seemed like it went by somewhat quick, and then at the same time it was a long year. And so it's not lost on me all the hard work everyone did. Every staff member leaned in and supported our kids. Working in the Tacoma Public Schools, everyone's all in. There's not one individual that just sits back and no matter what role, whether you're in custodial services, I share with folks, whether it's our facilities folks, our ESPs, our bus drivers, you name it, nutrition services, safety and security rooms, building leaders, central office, everyone works hard. We're thin, and they work in there. Our community partners, that's what makes Tacoma really special, the number of community partners. the individuals, the John Gaineses of the world, the big partners, the YMCAs, the Boys and Girls Clubs, you name it, the multi-cares. There are so many partners that are helping kids out there. Our families, I want to give a big shout out to our families, the community aunties, the aunties of the world, the grandfathers, our foster parents, everyone out there that are supporting our kids. Big shout out to our kids. They keep on rising. It's a tough world to be a part of it, kid, in this space. There's high expectations. There's a lot to compete with, and our kids do an amazing job. They truly do. We all got to experience a lot of magical moments. I think 12 ceremonies in a short period of time, and it was a lot of fun. It seems like for us, I always am just reminded on how magical those moments are in there. So I want to give a big shout out to especially the communications team, the maintenance and operations team. They're behind the scenes. They do such magical work. So many beautiful pictures. The Tacoma Dome staff, Dr. Doug Hostetter, Melissa on the 6th floor, a lot of hard work. The gals up on the 8th floor helping out, making sure those magical moments. Mike Rupert and his team, safety and security, to try to make sure those graduations go off. The graphics, I could go on and on. So I know they're not always perfect. I know they don't always work for everybody, but there's a lot of good intent to make those magical moments. So thank you for everyone in that space. And then finally, I just want to remind everyone that late nights are out and about and they're available. It's a safe place for kids. You can go on and register on your TPS Compass. They're up and running all across town. It's a great opportunity to stay connected. There's new programming that's taking place. And so I really encourage folks, kids, TPS kids, go have a meal, hang out with your friends. Stay safe. Be safe. We need you to come back. Thank you.
We'll move forward to the next item, which is a staff report to the board. We don't have one this evening, which leads us into members of the public wishing to address the board. School board members encourage your public participation. Your civil input is appreciated. Board members will not respond to your comments during the meeting. The superintendent or designee will follow up with you after the meeting if action is needed. Instead of speaking at a meeting, you can also send an email to the board at board@tacoma.k12.wa.us. Please contact the board office in advance of the meeting for disability accommodations. Option number 1 here for public comment guidelines. Under board policy 1430, the board president may terminate an individual's comments when the allotted time has passed and may interrupt a speaker to require the same standard of civility that the board imposes on itself. Examples of uncivil comments include comments that are libelous or slanderous under a legal standard, are unwarranted invasions of privacy, are obscene or indecent pursuant to the Federal Communications Act or any rule or regulations of the Federal Communications Commission, violate school district policy or procedure related to harassment, intimidation, bullying, or discrimination, incite an unlawful act on school premises or violate a lawful school regulation, or create a material and substantial disruption of the orderly operation of a board meeting. The board as a whole has the final decision in determining the appropriateness of all such rulings and can maintain order by removing those who are disruptive. However, the board recognizes the distinction between uncivil discourse, which it will not tolerate, and comments about the board, the district, and/or staff that are negative, yet still civil in nature. The board will exercise its authority to maintain order in a content-neutral manner. There are 2 options to give comment. One's verbal. The general counsel will call your name when it's your turn to address the school board. We ask that you speak directly into the microphone. You may have up to 3 minutes to share your comments, or if there are a large number of speakers, time may be limited at the president's discretion. Option number 2 is written comment. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 folks who have submitted written comment that are attached to the agenda if anybody wants to read what they got to say. General Counsel Benroe, I know we got some cards, so let's kick it off.
Yes, we have 8 verbal comments this evening. The first is Becky Renzi, followed by Jamie Brooks.
So I'm going to speak from my heart. I am terrified for next year just because my combined ADHD, sensory processing disorder, has autism. It's rough at home and it's rough at school. And we have outside support. My main concern is you guys have taken away multiple TAs who could assist with his maladaptive behavior in class. And I'm worried for next school year, especially as a parent with disabled child. You've taken away Miss Heather, Miss Elena, Teacher David. I'm from Bryant, by the way, sorry, but I know the staff is more than capable of handling their own, but when you put one disruptive child in a classroom with 24 other neurotypical children, it's gonna cause chaos. And you're gonna be waiting 10 to 15 minutes, and 15 minutes my son does not have. I don't think it's okay that you guys still have high wages. I think there definitely should not be competitive wages in Tacoma when we're barely surviving. I know, for example, we're barely making our mortgage this month. Like, we're living off one income. And it's not fair to see all of these TAs and all of these teachers suffer with their wages when they're the ones who would step in front of a door to take a bullet for our children. You know, it's wrong. And just this whole thing is incredibly wrong. I know Edna Travis serves a higher population of children, and their resources being taken away there. It just doesn't seem right what you guys are doing, and I still think there should be a public purpose petition to cap salaries at $250,000. I think that's more than being fair, given how much teachers are making. And I am going to go forward with that and seek that out and seek the signatures I need to make that happen. I don't think it's fair that you're making $398,000. But yeah, so that's my 2 cents. I'm scared for next year, and I think we could solve a lot of our issues if you guys just take a step back from your salaries and kind of just realize the whole impacting the financial crisis that, you know, the deficit that we are having currently is that we cannot support your salaries. There's no reason for that, but, so, thank you.
Our next speaker is Jamie Brooks, followed by Jarrett Austin.
Hi, I'm Jamie Brooks, and I am a parent of 3 kids. I have 2 at Sammy, and I'm just wanted to say a couple things about the no cell phone from bell to bell policy that's being discussed. I know from experience just with having the kids how distracting and how much anxiety comes with having their cell phones. And I know it's hard just as an adult sometimes, and being a professional, being at work or being at home, how distracting it can be as well. So I can't imagine for kids growing up in this environment how much harder it even is. And I almost feel like it's training them to be so dependent on their phones. And I know for myself, I have to make a really conscious effort when I'm at work. I'm in healthcare, and if I don't set my phone aside and I'm trying to talk with patients and I'm trying to listen, I know how much they appreciate when I'm really listening to them and trying to create a relationship. And I would like for my kids to be able to build relationships too in the same way. And it's very hard to do when you've got pulling you the other way. And I'm just, I also, for the teachers too, creating an environment where they can do what they've been trained to do and what they love to do. And it just feels, the kids, they don't, when they're constantly being pulled away, they never get to fully engage in that, what the teachers are trying to do. So, thank you.
I didn't catch your name, sorry.
Jamie Brooks.
Our next speaker is Jarrett Austin, followed by Jennifer Arnold.
Spent so much time today trimming my thing down to 2 minutes, and now I feel like I can just sit here and kind of relax and not blast through this. But members of the board, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Jarrett Austin. I recently participated in a book club at Hunt Middle School where we read and discussed The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. The book resonated with me very much, and I met a lot of people who believe that taking phones out of schools will give kids a richer environment in which to thrive. The book discusses 4 specific harms that unchecked access to cell phones are having on children. Harm number 1 is social fragmentation. We're social people, and when we're around people, we should be present and engaged, not just in a group of people who are all watching short form videos together. Harm number 2 is sleep deprivation. The CEO of Netflix is on record as saying that they are competing against sleep, but children with their growing brains and bodies need good quality sleep the most. Harm number 3 is attention fragmentation. In the few minutes in between classes when kids are allowed to use their phones and then have to put them away, it can take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes or more for kids to stop thinking about the highly addictive app they were just using and then be present and engaged in the classroom. Harm number 4 is addiction. These apps want your kids to be flooded with dopamine for as many hours a day as possible. It is good for their business. To these companies, we are nothing but data points, and they plainly and openly refer to us as users. It was also interesting to hear the responses why people want their children to have cell phones in school. And I would like to say to you, board members, that having a phone in school in case there is a school shooter is not a good reason to let kids have phones in schools. The harm greatly outweighs the benefit. In the event of a school shooting, teachers and staff are trained and know what to do, and having a class of children trying to call their parents and a student body's worth of parents trying to reach their children, all at a time when silence and inactivity are paramount, are not a good reason why children should have phones. It's not that I've drank heavily Anxious Generation Kool-Aid, it's just that the counter arguments make me think that we are a bunch of adults that need to examine our own relationship with technology, and your child is more likely to drown in a pool or a lake than be involved in a school mass shooting. The teachers want your help on this issue, the parents want your guidance on this issue, and the children need your leadership on this issue. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jennifer Arnold, followed by Glenn Johnson.
Thank you, school board directors and Superintendent Garcia. I have a 5th grader, just finished at Wainwright and headed to Hunt. I also participated in the book club of the Anxious Generation. I was excited because there have regularly been 200 holds on that book, public library, in the last year since it's been published. As part of that book club, the last meeting, we said, what can we do in our families, our school community, and broader on this issue? And we all said we would like a cell phone-free bell-to-bell policy at Hunt. And you know what? We would love it for the school district as well. We have families and friends across the district. We feel like this is an urgent issue. Every day we see the anxiety in our kids. Every day we see that lack of opportunity for building those social skills. We see the social skills could be better developed. So the counselors and Principal Messersmith helped us. We put a survey together and sent it out. I summarized the survey results, just a quick 2 pages that I sent to you all by email. But we about half the student body, the families only, we asked the families, not the students. 74% were strongly supportive of this policy. Only 5% were strongly opposed. When we asked, do you contact your child at school using their device? 78% of families rarely or never contact their student at school. I just wanted to bring some of the voices of those parents from the survey into the room. So these are some direct quotes. Let these young folks talk to each other. Thank you for prioritizing student engagement and learning while their growing brains develop. Parents can easily pass a message to their student through the office staff. We do it at Baker and it makes a world of difference. Other middle schools in the district have done this and it has been very successful. It would be a good contact for how it was rolled up school-wide in 23-24. And I'll leave you with this last one. It takes real courage to implement a no phone policy. While there may be pushback, it's a decision that will benefit students' mental health in the long run. Like seatbelts and cigarette bans, it may not be popular at first, but it's the right move. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Glenn Johnson, followed by Tamar Brown L.
All right, thanks. Glenn Johnson. I have a daughter who's going into Hunt, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to you. I urge you, the board and the staff at the district, to a bell-to-bell policy that would go from, throughout, restrict phone use throughout not just class, but during breaks and lunchtime. It may seem daunting or unpopular at first to, consider such a policy, but I just urge you to consider it strongly and look at the data on the harms that these phones are causing kids, and really take the opportunity to kind of give back some free time and playtime and strong social interaction for these kids. We've heard many stories of kids on breaks just on their phones, for the whole time that they're on breaks, and rather than playing, socializing, and to us, to adults, a year is not that long. You get a promotion, you get a new upgrade on your phone. I've got my phone right here. Doesn't seem that long, but for kids, each year is a big part of their lives, and it could be a big part of their social development. And so I urge you to kind of take action. I've heard that Olympia is considering, the legislators in Olympia are considering a cell phone policy, but who knows how long they'll take there, and you all have the power to enact something locally that could really help our kids and increase their mental well-being and even their physical health by engaging more with their bodies and playing outside. And I would just say that no policy is perfect, and you won't have 100% adherence, but don't let that kind of get in the way of moving forward, even if not everybody's adhering to the rules 100% of the time. That's just like any other rule or policy, but you can set the tone and the culture for these kids and teach them that what we're striving for is to reduce our phone use and not be on them all the time, and to engage with each other. And I think there's many different reasons why exemptions or exceptions for certain kids that have medical reasons or patterns of bullying or behaviors that put them at risk. You can address those and have carve out some policies for them to feel safe and heard too. So thanks for this opportunity.
Our next speaker is Tamar Brown L, followed by Miss Peggy.
Good evening, Board of Directors. My name is Tamar Brownell, and I'm here to request immediate administrative oversight regarding the handling of my grievance. I'm not a lawyer, but I do hold a master's degree in forensics accounting. I have been professionally trained in detecting discrepancies, uncovering organization inconsistencies, and following the paper trail. My attention to detail through this process has only been sharpened. My grievance process stems from discrimination, retaliation, professional bullying, and intimidation, concerns I previously brought before this board. Unfortunately, those issues were ignored. I now return to urge the board to intervene, not because this matter is now scheduled for review in the Pierce County Superior Court, but also because this process has been procedurally flawed, inconsistently applied, and damaging to the employees' trust. First, the district administrator at Bose Elementary referred to my level 2 grievance response as a courtesy. That is factually incorrect. Per the ESB CBA, it requires a written response at the level 2. It's not optional. Misrepresenting contractual obligations as courtesies undermines the integrity of the grievance process. Second, the response I received was untimely and then later excused as a clergy error. But this is not the first time this administrator, along with the Director of Labor Relations, failed to follow required CBA procedures. In a private grievance, they failed to schedule the required meeting and issued only a written response. This reflects a troubling pattern of enforcement and procedural avoidance. Separately, the same administrator also stated that the certain evaluation protections under the CBA do not apply to me as a mid-year hire, and this directly contradicts the guidance previously provided by the district civil rights coordinator, who stated that it is reasonable to apply the same day allowance structure as a guiding principle to mid-year hires, ensuring that they're still afforded the protections of a timely evaluation. Denying these protections creates a disparity in how mid-hire employees are treated and further highlights the district's inconsistent application of a contract. These are just a few examples. The board signed off on this collective bargaining agreement with the expectations that it will be enforced, but it hasn't been. So I ask you, if you approve this contract, why is there no oversight when the terms are ignored? I respectfully ask this board to ensure that the grievance process issued on behalf of the school district reflects the contract, the district policy, and procedure integrity. This matter deserves your full attention. And as I sat here tonight, I heard you guys talk about how the different CBAs and the considerations that all the staff are receiving based upon the procedure guidelines. I ask that you guys also uphold the procedural guidelines and integrity of all aspects of the CBA, including the grievances, including progressive discipline, including terminations, including assignments of probationary periods. Because I wasn't told about my probationary period until 2 months into my assignment. That's too late. And then after that, filed HIP complaints, and then they're not unresolved. Grievances issued after the unresolved HIP complaints are still there, and grievances are ignored. Responses are ignored. So I'm asking that this district and the school board take heed, because again, thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Peggy, followed finally by Levi Mumford Nichols.
Thank you. I'm Ms. Peggy. I've been with the school district for quite some time. I'm here about the budget as well. I'm one of the 204 that are still unplaced. And I wanted to really thank our teachers who gave up 1% of their raise so that they would have the same class sizes. We wouldn't have those raised. I thought that was really neat, really awesome of them, and very important. I also think that taking a paraeducator and putting them back to an hourly wage for crossing guard, there's a lot of us. It's not a huge amount of money. It would take we get about $8,000 a year for crossing, and taking a third of that would get about $5,500 then, and I don't see that as a significant source of savings. So with that 30% cut from that, which I don't think is super significant, and the teachers giving up their 1%, I was just kind of thinking that maybe if the administrators met in the middle somewhere, or even less, just gave up a bit of what they are getting, and they could throw it back in the pool for maybe some paras, ESPs to go back into the Montessori programs, or just anything to help with the stress and structure that we've got going on. Just a thought. Thank you very much. And on Michael Driver's show tonight, watch Channel 13 News.
All right. Our last speaker this evening is Levi Mumford Nichols.
Hi. To those in front, to my side, and back, I'm a 2023 graduate of IDEA High School in Tacoma, and I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you to the board, thank you to Jobs 253, thank you to Beyond the Bell, and thank you to Club B for giving me a chance in my senior year of high school at 17 to create and teach my own club at a middle school, and then later teach clubs in STEM and STEAM at elementary schools. The position that I was able to work with, I was still able to work with after I graduated. With the positions I have, my leadership skills have increased exponentially. In my senior year, I became a media lead with a local robotics team. After I graduated, I ended up getting a job with Parks Tacoma. That was only possible because I was working with Beyond the Bell. And I currently am a board member of the Tacoma Photo Center, and I teach workshops there as well. That was only possible because of the programs that I was able to previously, that experience that I was able to work with. I'm also applying to work in a Montessori school, and because of the programs that I'm with and that I've been working with Beyond the Bell and Club B, I'm currently at Tacoma Community College becoming a teacher. I'm getting my direct transfer agreement to getting my teaching license, and I'm hopeful that I can come back to Tacoma to work for TPS under the same people that I was working with after school when I was working with Jobs 253. Just gonna check to make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, just final thank you to the board in front of me. Jobs 253, Beyond the Bell, everyone. You guys have been amazing. You guys have completely changed my life. Thank you.
So that concludes verbal public comments for this evening. Just to note, we did have two that came in after the public comment period started. This time, Vice President McElroy, what you did last time to create space didn't happen this time. So we have maybe we'll hear from next business.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll move forward to the consent agenda.
I move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Any questions, comments, or concerns about it as it's presented? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Moving on to policy matters. First up, first reading of policy 6957, change orders.
Yes, the General Counsel, on behalf of the Director of Purchasing, recommends the Board of Directors review the draft of revised policy 6957 and provide feedback before a second reading. Just very briefly, this is a proposed change to an existing policy we have around change orders, bringing some clarity to when change order is put in place on a job that's already been approved, when that triggers board level review rather than approved by the superintendent designee. So because it's a first reading, no need for action. And then moving on to the second policy matter, this is section B. The General Counsel, on behalf of the Director of Purchasing, recommends the Board of Directors review the draft of revised policy 6959 and provide feedback before a second reading. So this is some proposed changes to some legal changes which have occurred in the small works arena, changing the threshold by which our purchasing friends decide who gets to do work for the school district. So this policy just reflects the legal change. Also a first reading, so no need for board action tonight on that one.
Solid. Well, we'll continue on to C, which is the second reading of policy 3207, prohibition of harassment, intimidation, and bullying.
Yes, I think the district civil rights coordinator, Tiffany Davis Brantley, who's going to take you through C, D, E, and F.
Good evening. Before I make recommendations to the board, I would like to update you about the policy revisions. After the first reading, we carefully reviewed feedback from our community and worked closely with the Equity Policy Review Team to ensure that the policy updates are clear, compliant, and aligned with our equity commitments. As a result of that process, we made several key changes. We clarified that electronic conduct may form the basis of discrimination complaints. We added purpose statements to clearly articulate intent and connection to district values. And we ensure that each policy explicitly references Washington's updated protected classes, bringing them into full compliance. The revisions before you reflect community input, and we believe that they will better serve our students, staff, and families. Do we have any questions at this point?
Let's do C, and then we'll do the questions during the motion process.
Absolutely. The Civil Rights Coordinator recommends the Board of Directors adopt the revised draft policy 3207, prohibition of harassment, intimidation, and bullying.
I move 7C.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those, are we at a roll call vote, or are we all?
Nope, this is just
Okay.
a thumbs up,
Yep.
thumbs down.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Next up is second reading of policy 3210, non-discrimination of students.
The Civil Rights Coordinator recommends the revised draft policy 3210, non-discrimination of students.
I move to adopt item number D.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Second reading of policy 3215, sexual harassment of students prohibited.
The Civil Rights Coordinator recommends the Board of Directors adopt the revised draft policy 3215, sexual harassment of students prohibited.
I move 7E.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. And F, second reading of policy 5266, sexual harassment of district staff prohibited.
The Civil Rights Coordinator recommends the Board of Directors adopt the revised draft policy 5266, harassment of district staff prohibited.
Move item number F.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That also passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the financial report that you already heard, so we'll skip right past that. Thanks to Ms. Medina for that earlier. Curriculum and instruction. Item number A, approval of interlocal agreement number TSD-25-138 between Eastern Washington University and Tacoma School District number 10 for college and the high school program for the 25-26 school year.
So just a little background, this is an agreement between Eastern Washington and Tacoma Public Schools so that we can offer a college and high school. Inside our college and the high school is a rigorous course that is offered by our teachers in conjunction, in this case, with Eastern Washington. We offer it with several different universities based off of the individual high school teacher and the individual high school, but this is specifically for Eastern Washington. The superintendent, on behalf of the directors of schools, recommends the board of directors approve the interlocal agreement number TSD 25-138 between Eastern Washington University and Tacoma School District number 10 for college and the high school programs for the 2025-2026 school year.
I move to adopt item 9A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments?
Question or more just for the public to understand about,
Is your mic on? Gotcha.
for the public to understand about all the different universities that help us with this. So Eastern, Central, UW are the ones I'm more familiar with. Are there others in our state that?
TCC helps us out with some. I'm trying to think. I think those are the predominantly ones that we do right now. In the CTE world, Clover Park and Bates, Pierce. So there's some dual credits. There's some agreements in the CTE world with, what's the technical term? I'm escaping it. There's an agreement with, I think, 30 different community colleges across the state that transfers credits when you have the CTE credits in there. And it's very important that families know that the credits are paid for in the community or in college and the high school. The state pays for the credits, as well as the dual credits when CTE courses. So when a child comes home and says, or if they don't come home and say, I want to get this high school credit or college credit, those are paid for in there. And so it's important that kids sign up for that credit to be taken. Obviously, they want to be successful in that class. And so in that space, you want to, I typically would recommend that you get a B or better basic in there because that is a transferable credit to your college transcript.
Right. It's been powerful, I think, for a lot of our students to get advanced education in our high schools. And sometimes there's some folks that can accelerate their college careers by a year because college is expensive. So it really is a great benefit for our students. And yes, it does matter because that grade goes on and stays on your transcript, so it's important that all students understand it. But I think that's made pretty evident to them when they're signing up, is my understanding.
Yep. So in TPS land, we have IB, Running Start, AP, CTE dual credit, which is all these are equal, right? They all in that space, and college and the high school with different universities in that. If you go onto the OSP report card, right? And OSP is aware of this. They are not recognizing our AP data yet for some reason. So we've notified them that. So our numbers are even higher than what it shows in OSPI's data. So we do a pretty good job of making sure that kids at all different levels, and as you know, we have even 8th graders taking AP classes and different levels. Kids are challenging at high levels.
Thank you.
Solid. Full transparency, I don't know if it's been moved or seconded. I can't remember.
It's been moved and seconded.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Approval of contract number TSD-25-129 between Tacoma School District number 10 and Inquired for the purchase of K-5 digital materials for the 25-26 school year.
The Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning recommends that the Board of Directors approve contract TSD 25-129 for the purchase of K-5 Inquire Ed Journeys digital curriculum materials for the 2025-26 school year in the amount of $211,455 exclusive of sales tax. Funding source, CNI Basic Ed funds, and I will add or capital tech levy. Still working.
I move item 9B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions about this one? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Thanks, Zeke. Made it to agenda item number 10, business matters. A, approval of contract TSD 25-125 between Parks Tacoma and Tacoma School District Number 10 from May 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026.
A little bit of background on this one because it's just an example of the various things that Tacoma Public Schools is part of in partnership in our community. SAMI students get to participate through the partnership of Parks Tacoma and Tacoma Public Schools in support of the Chinook Orca Research and Education Project, which entails the installation and management of temporary salmon rearing and research pens attached to dock structures where salmon are raised, studied, and released from the site with distinct coded wires that are tagged as potential contribution to local recreational and commercial fisheries and ongoing studies. Our students get a part of that, and you can imagine it requires lots of different material and resources, so we got to have a place close to the docks to store those things. And by the way, there's no cost associated with this. Nonetheless, there's a partnership. So without further ado, the Deputy Superintendent, on behalf of the Director of Innovative Programs, recommends that the Board of Directors approve contract number TSD 25125 between Parks Tacoma and Tacoma School District Number 10 for marina boat locker rentals from May 1st, 2025 to April 30th, 2026.
I move item 10A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions, comments, concerns?
Mr. President, I just want to thank the Parks Commissioner. There is a cost associated, which is the park revenue to support it. So boat lockers are a revenue stream that they are choosing to allow our kids by giving that space to our kids to study. They are losing revenue in that space. And so this is just another example where we work together to foster community and provide space. So a big shout out to the Parks Commissioner for prioritizing this. So if they're out there listening, I'm not sure that they would be, but,
But thank you.
giving shout outs into the world is not a
They'll
bad
play
thing
it
to do.
back afterwards because you said that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I second that. Appreciate it. It's been moved. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Other business. Agenda item number A, letter A, ratification of the 2025 through 2028 bargaining agreement between Tacoma School District Number 10 and the membership of the Tacoma Education Association, Tacoma Association of Education Office Professionals, and the Tacoma Association of Public Schools Professional and Technical Employees.
All right, thank you. The Director of Labor Relations, on behalf of the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, recommends that the Board of Directors ratify the collective bargaining agreements between Tacoma School District Number 10 and the membership of the Tacoma Education Association, Tacoma Association of Education Office Professionals, and the Tacoma Association of Public School Professional and Technical Employees.
I move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. General Counsel Benro, want to go through a roll call?
Yes, President Strozier, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice President McCullough, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Keating, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Leon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, the 2025-2028 CBA between the district and the TEA is approved.
Appreciate it. Dr. Garcia?
Mr. President, I just want to thank the bargaining teams on both on the TA and the district and all the membership, everyone involved. These are obviously very important conversations to have, and I know people volunteer their time and their support, and it's not lost on me. And so I appreciate them. I appreciate the leadership on both sides in there, and so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us get here. It's important. We are better together. We will continue to foster and work hard to work collaboratively together. This doesn't mean that we're done. It means that we keep working together, and we are committed to that. So thank you so much for everyone that was involved in this agreement. We appreciate you, and we will. I hope you get some much deserved rest this summer, and thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Agenda item number B, adoption of resolution 2160 for acceptance of contract between Tacoma Public School District Number 10 and John Corsmo LLC, DBA Corsmo Construction.
Yes, when a contractor meets the terms and conditions outlined in the contract and completes the project, we come back to the board for final acceptance and approval of that project or contract. Chief Operating Officer, on behalf of the Executive Director of Planning and Construction, recommends that the Board of Directors adopt Resolution Number 2160 for the acceptance of project completion and approve the acceptance of contract with Corsmo Construction for the Rainwright Intermediate School Sliding Replacement Project.
I move item number 11B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions, comments, concerns about this? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Oh, it's a resolution.
One more roll
My
call.
bad. All right, roll call vote then.
President Sturger, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice President Victoria, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Keating, how do you vote?
Aye.
Director Leon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, the resolution 2160 passes. 4-0.
Perfect. Thank you. Moving on to our closing items this evening, we have board comments and reports. Anybody willing to start?
I'll keep it short. Graduations were, they were just a week ago, but it really feels like it was a lot longer ago. It was an amazing, the few graduation ceremonies that I got to participate in are always inspiring. The students are always my favorite speakers. And they had another year of incredible insights and perspectives that I really valued. In thinking about the information that the superintendent shared during the budget presentation around McKinney-Vento student transportation makes me think of a student that I had the great honor to be brought in to support, who receives McKinney-Vento students, or was qualified for McKinney-Vento, and a short time before graduation, there was a lot of uncertainty whether or not this young person was going to actually make it. And being able to be on stage with President Stroger and hand that young human a diploma that they worked really hard for and worked in ways that their peers don't have to work. They don't have to worry about the same things and overcome the same things, was a really, it was very special and a deep honor to just be one piece of many that helped get that human being across and with a diploma in hand. And all that work happens collectively. And I think their success in receiving their diploma is just a really good reminder for me about how we are just a part of a very large system of humans that are working really hard to do everything that we can for our kids. So that's all I got.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Hey, Josh and Malik. This is one of those meetings where Chelsea was reading a lot before she came, and I got questions. I have a question to General Counsel Penrose. Who is managing phones if a district staff, due to a misunderstanding of policy, were to take and confiscate a phone? Who would be fiscally liable for that?
So it depends on nature. I generally don't like to give legal advice on television.
I gotta ask.
If it's due to negligence of the staff, that could be the staff that's responsible. If not, it could be the student. So for example, if a staff member confiscated a phone from a student, put it in a drawer, but for example, left the drawer open, phone is visible, another student takes it out of that drawer, that's an example where the district might be liable because the negligent act of the employee allegedly led to the loss of the phone. So a different example, if a student got something taken out of the backpack without the student knowing, you're less likely to have a district staff negligible there because the district staff didn't do anything negligent. So it does depend, but there are circumstances where it's one party or the other.
And then a question to Superintendent Garcia. If we were to implement some type of plan for phones, is there currently any plans happening for phones happening on any campus in the district at all?
Yes, each of the secondary schools have been working on plans. All but 3 of the secondary schools had a plan this last year, and then the expectation is the other 3 were working to develop their plans, and that they will have a plan this start of the 25-26 school year. All schools have a digital device. You have a digital device policy in there, but specifically towards cell phones, the response is yes.
And who's leading that work? Are you leading that work? Is who?
The school principals in collaborations with the school directors.
All right, cool. Another question, questions kind of for Rosalind, but I think you could answer, Superintendent Garcia. What are competitive salaries? What is that?
So we use the term market-driven competitive salaries. So what we do is we look at positions, and then we look at the market. So the market is based off of two markets. One is we look at districts in the surrounding, basically 10 miles. So we compare principals to principals in that 10-mile radius. And so with the idea that the market of principal salaries compared to principal salaries, office professionals to office professionals, teachers to teachers.
You're doing such a good job, because that was part B of my question. Who does that term currently apply to?
Yes, so we compare those to the positions the best we can, knowing that some job descriptions look differently in there. The second market is we look at the top 10 size school districts in the state of Washington in there. And so then we look at, can we be competitive in those two markets? We want to be in the surrounding districts. We want to be at the top end of that market because we do not want people to leave Tacoma to drive somewhere to do that. And then in the top 10 size school districts, we try to be in the top tier of that market because we want to be competitive in that space in there. So those are the markets that we compare, like positions to like industry. It's not comparing to another industry. It's comparing to like industry, like positions.
So never apples to oranges. We're only trying to compare apples to apples. Layman's
Yes.
terms.
With that said, there are different kinds of apples. We are the
Okay.
Apple State.
I have another question. It probably is for Kari, or Rosalind, but I'm sure you can answer. Superintendent Garcia, how many budget buckets do we currently have, and what are their labels? To my knowledge, there's trust, salaries, transportation. I think I'm missing a few.
There are, I think, 6 of them. So you have the capital, the basic ed, you have the trust. I'm gonna look and phone a friend. You have the transportation. You have
ASB.
the transportation vehicle, ASB, and what's my 6th? Yeah.
General fund, capital.
General fund, capital, debt service. So there's 6.
That's great. I really asked all these questions because I want to inform my comments before I make them. First, it's summertime. So as a reminder, I like to tell people, them kids in your neighborhood don't have a school to go now. The teachers are on a well-deserved break. They are your neighbors. They are your children in community with you. Befriend them, get to know them. Don't be creepy. But also, please don't report them. We got a lot of 311 calls coming in about kids in their neighborhoods where they live. Also, I gave a whole story last board meeting about like what I personally did with the phone that I did not purchase because I understood the liabilities as a foster parent who did not purchase the phone. I just always worry about where does this responsibility lie, and then who do we hold accountable, because who bought the phone? I love that there are people who come here and advocate, but I also have to remind people that I wear a hat as someone in community who still shops at Grocery Outlet and Walmart, and the community that I serve sometimes don't even shop there. We got the dollar store for groceries sometimes. And the people that I talk to, they really don't have some of the same values as the people who make time to come here. I also want to highlight that we have 28,000 students in this district. I think that the squeaky wheel often gets heard. And the squeaky wheel often is somebody who has the means to buy the WD-40 to fix it. And those who are not heard and their voices are not represented and they don't know where to send an email, and even if I held their hand and typed it into their phone to send an email, they might not have the literacy skills or the English language writing skills to draft up a well-written email to defend their case and the things that they need. I just always want to highlight the people who I am in community with, who I walk alongside, and those voices that are not represented, especially when it comes down to who gets to tell a parent how to be a parent. And a former preschool teacher, I was told routinely, girl, it is not you. And so I'm gonna always mind my P's and Q's and stay in my lane and remind myself, what is my overarching duty here as a school board director? It is to enact good policy and to oversee the superintendent. Superintendent Garcia and General Counsel Penrell, I wanna thank you for answering my questions tonight, because that's my job, is to ask you questions. And I'm really grateful that you answered them. Thank you.
Yeah, there was two graduations I was at in Oakland in Stadium this year, and I understand all the graduations went extremely well. It was, as we heard, special emotional moments for all those students, all those families waiting, and then, of course, folks promoting up to the next grade level. Some amazing kids at both of those graduations, some really heartfelt emotional tears when speaking with kids from Oakland and their families about things they've gone through to be able to get to where they were, and same thing for Stadium. It's just different challenges that everybody's met throughout their school careers, and especially around the COVID problems that the world has had since then. So it was powerful to see all these families and students in such a good place. So, so thank you. As we've heard, many thank yous to all school staff, employees, caregivers, and students, of course. Great job. I do want to comment, I guess, a little bit more on, just maybe a follow-up on some of the comments that Director McElroy has brought up a little bit around there are communities out there that maybe aren't able to come and speak, as you said. Yes, absolutely, that happens. I think we have heard about the surveys. Some could argue Hunt maybe has different socioeconomics than other parts of town, but 74%, as we heard from that survey, and a very positive support of a bell-to-bell non-use of cell phone times. It seems pretty strong. I know that we're not surveying everybody, and everybody's filling these out. So there was similar numbers that came out of Stadium, and that, again, could be argued that that's a different socioeconomic place. I reported already last month around focus groups that I had at Mount T and Lincoln, and what I heard from students and staff there was that they were vastly in favor of something like this to help them academically and with behavior, socially, safety. All those are the reasons why many members of the community are in support of this. This is still something we're discussing, though, of course. And I think it is something that is mentioning stay in our lane. I think this is at least something that's important for academics and behavior in the schools. So I would say it is in my lane. It is in our lane. So that's it. Thanks.
I forgot, and yesterday was the State of Black Tacoma with the Tacoma Urban League. I want to thank TPS, their staff, Graduate Tacoma, and other community-based organizations that showed up to talk about the impact that everybody has on all of our students. And another question for you, Superintendent Garcia. When we talk about disciplinary policies, historically, who are the most harmed and who are the most impacted by disciplinary policies within district students' ratios? Is it boys, girls? What demographic, ethnically, breakdown for that?
Traditionally, historically, I think it's safe to say, both locally and regionally and nationally, it is boys of color.
Okay, thank you. That was brought up, State of Black Tacoma, so thank you.
We'll put a bow on this then. As I shared, graduations happen weekend. This is my favorite time of year. There've been a good number of events that have attempted to suck the joy out of the happiest time of year for me. But I'm proud to say that it almost won, but it didn't. So we were excited to celebrate our young people, our juniors this year that are going to be running the castle and/or the school next year. Your time is now. And our young people who have exited and are now alumni, the more you continue to learn, the higher chances of that L becoming silent. So I want to encourage folks to really stay tapped in and really do and encourage your colleagues, your friends to stay on the right path, because there's opportunity out there, and I would love nothing more for our TPS students to take advantage of it. So again, last week was very exciting. It was tiring, but we made it, and now we are getting ready to make that transition, but not before everybody gets some well-deserved rest. So as we move into the summer months, take care of yourself, take care of your people, and let's have a good time. Announcements of next regular board meetings, July 10th, 2025. We'll be here at 6 p.m. There will be a public hearing for the 25-26 proposed budget held at that meeting. August 14th, we'll be here again, not here, we have a board retreat from 5:30 to 9 p.m., if anybody was wondering. we will be there, all smiles and ready to engage. August 28th, 2025, we'll have a 6 p.m. board meeting here again. And with that, we're out. Thank you.